Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're talking trending down players. We each got two guys that are going down our draft boards as we get closer to the season for whatever reason. Maybe it's play, maybe it's situation, who knows? We got two guys each. We did trending up the other day, so if you want to hear some positive player news, go listen to that one first, then come back and hear the negative today. Here we go, Jeff. We'll just jump right into this thing. Who do you got?
The first guy I'm going to talk about is a rookie. He just hasn't wowed me the way I thought he was going to, and I'm going to put Ja'Marr Chase on this list. I'm not burying him by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that there's guys that are leapfrogging him because I haven't seen anything. And to be fair, it kind of reminds me of, I think Ja'Marr Chase will be fine. I'll say that because when I bring up Mike Williams, who Detroit drafted back in the day that took a year off, and then, and he was a top 10 pick because he was so good in college at one point. It kind of reminds me of that. I think Ja'Marr Chase will be fine, but I think overall, when we ranked him at first, we thought he was going to be sharp on top of it, and it just doesn't feel that way. And you also have two other guys that are very capable pass catchers, and I always liked T. Higgins, and now I feel even more, confident about that pick, and even Tyler Boyd. Like, I know we don't ever talk about him, but he is a good pass catcher, especially for that team that could get 100 targets and whatnot. So Ja'Marr Chase, he's not, falling off my board, but he's definitely dropped quite a few spots. And even someone like we've talked about in the, going up, like Jerry Jeudy and, those types of guys are actually jumping over him for me right now.
Yeah. So he was a guy that I had him. He was going to be on my list. I'm going to add another one. I got another guy. So Ja'Marr Chase, I'm right on board with you. And the drops aren't great to see. You don't like to see the drops. And it's not just that. I mean, it's like, the offense, I'm not sold on it right now. And there's other good pass catchers there. I mean, obviously Higgins and Tyler Boyd is fine. It just might not be this just massive rookie season that some people wanted in the way that he's getting drafted. It just might be, he's just figuring it out and he has an okay year, and maybe next year is the breakout year. I don't want to draft him anymore where he was going in these drafts. Like, so he's going down my board a bit. He shouldn't be so far ahead of, Smith and Waddle at this point. And there's plenty of other guys that are around there that, let's not go draft, the unproven guy who hasn't showed us anything yet over some of these other players. So yeah, I'm completely on board with you on Ja'Marr Chase. He's just fallen down a little bit. And again, I think he's going to be fine. It's just, maybe the year off is a big factor in that. And first time he's seeing somebody over the middle there, it's kind of a worry. So yeah, he's currently Fantasy Pros, he's 28th right now. And then after him, you got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, players like that, I want Jerry Jeudy right now. So.
Yeah. And I don't think we're alone because I actually think that is lower than what he was about a week ago.
Probably because he's like,
I think he's already actually starting to slip. So that, because I think he was in the mid 20s. I guess the question here before we move on from him, speaking of dynasty drafts, what does that do for him? Does that really affect his ranking at all?
Not for me in dynasty. He's still the top receiver for me. Depends on how you want to draft and what kind of leagues you're in. If you're in full PPR, he still might be the top guy possibly. But Najee's probably still my number one. Ja'Marr Chase still might be my number two player off the board, honestly, because you get the other running backs, Javonte Williams, not as sold. I mean, Ja'Marr might still be my number two right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point. I'm there with you. I think that you could have a legitimate reason to give Devontae Smith another look, but because I think he's a talented guy too, but he really hasn't shown anything either. But right. I do think they're going to force feed him the ball because I think there's a little bit less talent around him compared to T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and whatnot. So, But anyway, yeah.
All right. So I will have a replacement for what was going to be my Ja'Marr Chase pick. I'm going to go with Kenny Golladay, who hasn't shown us anything because he's been hurt. And that's why he early in my early ranks, he was probably 15th ish. He's up there. He's supposed to be the new number one there in New York. There was some good expectations. They paid him a lot of money and he's not yet seen the field. He's recovering from a hamstring injury, but he missed a lot of last year with injury. I don't know how much of that was, it was the end of his contract. They didn't want to put him in, whatever. It was a weird thing, but this isn't good. I can just see this being a lingering thing all year. And it just has me worried. I'm just not confident he's going to be healthy. And because of that, a guy who was, once in my top 15 is now dropping closer to 30 in my ranks. He's probably between 25 and 30 now. And he keeps falling because what do we have here? I don't know what we have. I don't know if he's going to be healthy. Hamstring injuries, you know how they can linger. I don't feel confident that he hasn't really got to play with his new quarterback, his new team. None of this sounds great to me. Kenny Golladay is a good player, but Kenny Golladay isn't, to me, a special player that can just step in and be just amazing without any work here. He needs to play to get ready, and he just hasn't. Because of that, I'm just going to drop him down my board. And I picked him up in a lot of leagues we were doing because I liked where I was getting him, but the longer this has lingered on, I don't like it. So he's dropped down for me.
I cannot agree with you more. That was going to be my other guy. I'm glad that we're doing
so there,
this.
I stole one from you.
So now I'm going to scramble and pick another guy.
All right. I can go with another one. I'll let you think if you don't have one. I'll pick
I appreciate that.
guy.
Yeah. But as far as Golladay, I think that's a very good point. And I don't think he's going to be the only one that has an injury and we just don't know where he's ending up. Right. That is a very normal case. And let's be honest, if you're on a good team, that's one thing. If that team has to figure out its own identity and you're not going to be there in the beginning of the year, that's a whole nother thing. And we all know that Kenny Golladay, at the very least, can get down the field and catch the ball and for big plays, right? But when you're coming off an injury, if you're not quite as explosive, if you're not quite this, a little bit goes a long way. So I think he is one of those players that I downgrade more rapidly, because if he doesn't have that special playmaking ability, then I'm not sure what he brings to the offense.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I don't either.
Please,
so,
I was going to say, please give me time and go ahead and say another one.
All right. So here's it. Hey, everyone. So this next part you're about to hear me and Jeff talk about was actually recorded Monday night before the Sony Michel trade happened to the Rams. So I'm going to go ramble on about how Damien Harris is one of my trending down players, because Sony Michel is probably still going to eat into his workload and all that good stuff. So maybe I'm not as sold on Damien Harris trending down as I once was, but I'm still, same point still applies. Patriots running backs, they use them all. They use, Bill Belichick hasn't had a history of using one running back very often. So you'll hear in a minute, I'm talking about how I think they're going to use Harris, but with Sony Michel, I still think that's going to play out. It might just be Damien Harris, James White, Ramondre Stevenson, maybe even JJ Taylor. Same point still applies, but you'll hear me talk about Sony Michel. And that changed a little bit, but here we go. Me and Jeff talk about Damien Harris next. I don't know if you're probably not going to love to hear this one. The way I'm feeling is Damien Harris is my next.
Okay.
It's not the player. It's not the player necessarily. Damien Harris, I think, can play decently enough. But the more I thought about it, why do we think the Patriots are just going to have Damien Harris run the ball? Why? We're not. It's not going to happen. So I believe I don't have the stat in front of me right now, but he was only in on like not even half of the first team snaps. And it wasn't like there's another guy that he was still the one, but Sony Michel got some work. Obviously, James White is still coming in on third downs. Ramondre Stevenson has actually looked pretty good in his time he's played. You could see a scenario where he gets some opportunity. It's more of, I'm just watching this play out and I'm like, hey, we might have the Patriots of old again. Damien Harris might not be getting the quite the opportunity we thought, even though he still probably is their number one. Sony Michel is just not going away. He's still around and they're still playing him. And, James White's not going away. James White is going to be in on those third downs. So because of that, I just started to, I don't know. I mean, it's not like he's going to fall too far, because he wasn't overly ranked, right? We didn't have him crazy. The rank wasn't crazy, but I did start to push him into maybe the mid 20s. And this might just make me drop him, though. It's going to probably make me drop him at least below like the Chase Edmonds of the world. And, those kind of players maybe. And mean, you're not gonna. I mean, I know you don't agree with this. Trey Sermon.
Yeah, you know me well.
Yeah, I think I might put Trey Sermon ahead of him. There's other guys in that range where I just like, okay, Trey Sermon, that's not a great example. He doesn't have the workload either. He's still the number 2. So that's not
like the same thing, but unproven.
But no, it just makes me hesitate a little bit where I don't feel as comfortable drafting him anymore. And even though this isn't like a huge rankings drop, it's just slight. And he drops below a couple guys where, shoot, maybe Myles Gaskin goes ahead of him. James Robinson now goes ahead of him. Guys I don't like, but I know probably have a better opportunity. So yeah, that's why Damien Harris is on that.
Yeah, I think that you reasoned that out correctly. And to be honest, watching those games, everyone did well.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's hard because Damien Harris didn't do anything bad. He scored a touchdown. He looked good. But you're right. I mean, Sonny Michel did look pretty good. And Stevenson actually looked possibly the best. But he is a rookie guy. You don't exactly know everything he's capable of. So I don't mind that at all. And I think that is the big worry. Damien Harris could easily be the number 1 back there, but if you have 3 capable backs, why wouldn't you use them?
Yeah,
I can totally take that and run with it. And once again, like you said, my biggest one right away was like, how far could you actually drop him? Because like you said, like okay, he's in mid-20s, whatever. But yeah, there are some guys with injuries are definitely going to go ahead of him now. So I do agree with you. I do like his upside. But the Patriots never make me feel warm and cozy about my pick. You know what I mean?
Well, and then even JJ Taylor, I know he's not playing against the starters, but he had 12 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. But it's just stuff like that where maybe these guys get more of a look. And with the Patriots, that's the one team where you wouldn't be surprised if they got more of a look. So it's just the hesitation's there slightly for me because of that. But all right, Jeff, do you have a number 2?
No, not really. Knowing that we haven't already kind of talked about, like the other guys I would mention would be like a Joe Mixon, right? I just don't feel solid about their line. We've talked about him already though before, so I don't really want to repeat it. Do you have another one locked and loaded that you're ready to go on?
And this one isn't as like, exciting either, but David Johnson is one who might be the number 3 in Houston now. A guy who was probably it was their lead back last year and did decent. He was getting ranked in the top 30 at running back. Honestly, he might need to be closer to 50. Mark Ingram at this point looks like he might be ahead of David Johnson in the pecking order there. Philip Lindsay is clearly ahead of him. And Mark Ingram might be, but again, or is this just preseason? Is this just, I don't think it is. David Johnson looks like he is the 3rd guy in that offense, which is not a good offense to begin with. And I drafted him the other day for like for some stupid reason now. And I want to just drop him. So I think it's going to turn out poorly here for him.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more on that one as well. I know we're kind of on par today, but yeah, I mean, the question was who is actually going to be the number 1 running back, and David Johnson, or is it going to be a 3-headed beast? Or I can't even say 3-headed beast. Would it just be 3 average guys?
3 guys
that they trot out there and their offense just can't move the ball anyway. So, I mean, you're not wrong. And when you say it's so funny because it doesn't register at all for me. Because
it's not flashy, but he was getting ranked at one point in the top 30, and he none of those backs should be there. Maybe Philip Lindsay should be in the 30 to 40 range. But David Johnson and Mark Ingram's been down anyway, but David Johnson needs to be more 50th. It basically just means avoid this backfield.
Yeah. And no, I want to say this it goes along with this, and this is not really downgrading anyone, but as far as bad backfields and how the outcome is, the other guy that I thought maybe would, some people would try to grab as like a sneaky one would be Tevin Coleman. That is another guy that I feel is the same thing as David Johnson, where it's just, I don't think he's ever going to be healthy again. And Michael Carter has done enough where you're kind of like, he's going to be the number 1 back there.
Well, I don't know. That's an interesting situation because Coleman and Ty Johnson have been Ty Johnson's definitely been playing ahead of Michael Carter. So it's one of those where they're just not handing him the job. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to, but I felt like it's kind of similar, like as far as like bad backfields with multiple guys in there. But the the person who at one time was the flashy pick and it has a little, a few years under their belt are the ones that I feel like are kind of coming up short, like nowhere near in the discussion of the RB1. And I feel like Tevin Coleman is kind of the same way for me. We'll find out, but yeah, just bad situations in general.
Yep. Oh, all right. There we go. There's trending down. We'll be back next week with some more fantasy football stuff for you. Maybe we'll have some more positive news, positive stuff to talk about, but not the players trending down, but maybe, yeah, you weren't probably hopefully drafting David Johnson anyway, like I was. So God, I don't know why I didn't draft David Johnson. My team's all like young guys.
Well, you got desperate. Well, that's what happens. It is in this year, I do think that you can mix and match in the first 4 rounds as far as wide receiver and running back goes.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure that you can still get at least 2 legit running backs. And, with our league, you being down money, you can see like trying to get clever with it and, just grabbing the last guy, the last pup at the bull. But you're not the only one. I mean, we have plenty of other guys that, like, especially with ATN going down, people are going to be hurting real bad for running.
Wayne
back.
Lost a couple backs already, so
yeah, it's really funny.
He drafted.
And can we?
What's that?
Oh, sorry. Can we mention one thing really quickly?
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
What an interesting thing they did. The cuts they made, and one of them was a guy that you liked because
I liked him at one point.
Yeah. But it was also like a flyer, right? Like a sleeper.
It was more situational where the situation trying to figure out who that guy was going to be that I think can take over from Mike Davis. I don't believe in Mike Davis. I feel like someone's going to take that spot. And funny thing
do you have another name?
Yeah. So before that cut even happened, I made a post on Instagram that was deep sleepers, and Caleb Huntley was my new deep sleeper from the Atlanta Falcons before the Javion Hawkins cut even happened. So Caleb Huntley, that's my new one. I'm gonna go whoever's left.
I was gonna say, do they have Olsen too? Or
Olsen? I've seen Olsen already last year. I'm gonna go with the guy. You don't know.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Because I think I don't know. They probably only have 3 backs now, so you have a better chance of picking one that can outdo him. But yeah, when you saw that Hawkins got cut, I was kind of shocked. I wonder if someone else will pick him up. I don't think he's like over the moon talented, but he could be like a scat back for someone. He was kind of intriguing.
Oh, yeah. So they're that's right. I forget they had signed Deontay Foreman. That's what had happened before. So they have Mike Davis, Quadre Olsen, Deontay Foreman, and Cordero Patterson as well.
Is Foreman? I mean,
it's just a bad.
It was like 4 years ago where I was like, maybe I would have been excited by that. But I mean, he was another one that he had like a foot injury or something, if I remember correctly. He never looked the same, and he was never quick to begin with. Like never a fast NFL running back.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing.
I just don't believe in Mike Davis. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really believe in that offense a whole lot anymore. That it's going to be really weird. It's going to be Ridley, and then we'll figure out Pitts. I don't know. They're going to have to throw a lot.
I feel like they'd be better off if they just re-signed Todd Gurley. I mean,
that's kind of what I feel like. I'm not
they
sure.
Didn't do any. They didn't upgrade. Believe me.
Yeah.
But all right, there we go. That'll do it for today. Talk to you guys next time.